What's up guys, Ninth Gym here, and we're doing a meta analysis today. I know it's been a while since we've done something like that here on this channel, but I figured why not? We've got a Spikemuth Cup tournament today, just concluded, I think yesterday or the day before. 146 players, $175 prize pool. I remade the top 8 on Showdown just so that we can see them more clearly, because these aren't really in the order, these are in Swiss order, which, you know, we're talking about after post top cut. Anyway, so first off, shout out Nino Pokebros on Twitter. I'll link this tweet in the description down below so you can go and look at it all yourself if you'd like to. It also links all of the players that made top 16, so you can go check them out. You know, drop some follows here and there, pepper in some follows. Congrats to all the players that did top. Anyway, let's get into it. So first off, we have top 8 here. So first off, the winner is the Battle Room, running a really interesting Trick Room team that does also feature Lilligant Torkoal, which, if you do know me, that is one of my favorite combos of all time, just because it was my first like really good doubles duo team in competitive VGC. I started playing competitive VGC in 2017. I played VGC a little bit before, but never really got into it. And then in 2017, I got into it, and this was the first duo. The first team I ever made was a Trick Room and Lilligant Torkoal team. So, got a special place right here in this little heart of mine. Anyway, we've got the Lilligant Torkoal. We've also got the Hatterini and Didi, which is a very infamous, you know, Gen 8 duo for Trick Room. It's very, very strong. It allows you to set up Trick Room almost guaranteed, like every single time, because you have a bulky Indeedee setting up with Follow Me, and then a Hatterini setting up Trick Room. It's really two-dimensional. It's a very basic lead. It's something that, you know, when they lead those two Pokemon, it's very easy to assume what's going to happen. Gets Trick Room up. I mean, that's what you do. It gets Trick Room up. You sometimes have to sacrifice Indeedee, but hey, you get Trick Room up, which is pretty good. And then you have Hatterene sending out really powerful Dazzling Gleams and Expanding Forces. You bring in Stakataka or Torkoal, and then you're just sweeping things. Something that's really cool about this team is that it has a little bit of variance, because you also do have the Stakataka and the Landorus Eye on the team. Landorus Eye obviously is pretty solid for taking care of a lot of different things. It does get Rock Slide in this format. It also has those powerful Sheer Force boosted Earth powers and Psychic and Poison, Sludge Bomb. Really, really powerful Earth powers to deal with Incineroars, all that kind of stuff. It's really, really good. So, you know, Landorus makes sense on the team. Also, you have things like Regieleki in the format that Landorus kind of just like Earth power, get out of here. I forgot to move myself to the other side. I meant to move myself to the other side. Yeah, I like this team a lot. And then we also have Stakataka, and Stakataka is kind of a beast in this format. It's really strong. It's one of the best Trick Room sweepers in my opinion. It has just ridiculous stats, and it has really solid offensive typing. However, it does have 2 4x weaknesses, which is a little annoying. You have, you know, Urshifu basically running the format, hitting this guy 4 times. So you usually have to use a Chople Berry to, you know, half that super effective damage. And then you run into the fact that, well, you still have ground typing 4x weakness, which means things like Landos are gonna just slaughter you. You have high horsepower Rillabooms. They're putting in the work. So, you know, Stakataka definitely has some balances, you know, some checks and counters, but the dude is insane. And then you have Lilligant with Chlorophyll, doubling its speed so that you don't always have to be in Trick Room to be, you know, going fast. You do have things like Lilligant with the After You, which allows you to use the Torkoal on the side with Eruption, and that's always good, because then if you're not in Trick Room, you can still make your Torkoal go first. Then you have your max HP Eruption, just fire in at will. Next, in second place, we have Kamikasa VGC, so go check them out on Twitter. Kamikasa VGC has a pretty interesting team featuring a couple really cool mons. I love seeing Nihilego. I want to use Nihilego here really soon, because I just think it's such a really good Pokemon. It has access to a lot of really interesting things. You can always go for Meteor Beam as well, which is really cool. You have Meteor Beam Power Herb that you can do. I don't know. I didn't watch the stream, so I don't actually know what any of these teams are, and they, like I said, there's no paste or rental codes or anything, so I'm just pretty much guessing on what these Pokemon can have. But I do like Nihilego Meteor Beam a lot. I use this in a couple of the Dynamax formats that we played, you know, pre-restricteds in Gen 8. And then we have Heatran, Celesteela, Zarina, Tapu Fini, and Whimsicott. So really interesting team. A solid Firewater Grass core right here. We have Celesteela for a really bulky backbone, probably running that substitute leftovers, really annoying strat. Nihilego also gets Trick Room as a nice little mix-up, which is pretty cool. You have a lot of middling speed Pokemon here, the Tapu Fini, Heatran, and Celesteela. Wants to assume that Heatran is probably a low speed EV, so that you can really take advantage of that Trick Room. And you also have the Tailwind. So you have a lot of really good access on this team, being able to set up the Trick Room here or setting up the Tailwind here. and then all your middling speed Pokemon can kind of win a lot of matchups. I feel like hard Trick Room, you really got to keep your opponent off of Trick Room, which means you probably have something like maybe some Taunt here. You know, you never really know for sure with these teams. But then you have your Queenly Majesty, Zarina, keeping your opponent off of Fake Out and stuff. So a lot of really good setup here. You know, you can lead Zarina Nihilego or Nihilego something else, and then bring in the Zarina, and then your Nihilego is almost always getting Meteor Beam off, which is really good. This thing could also be running like a Focus Sash set, and then not like carrying the Meteor Beam, which is always like, you know, an option as well. It does have 90 accuracy, so if you go for the Meteor Beam and lose it and miss it, then you kind of like get swung completely in your opponent's favor, and it's really bad. So yeah. All right, next in third place, we have AA Pokemon 793 with a really interesting team with some really cool mons, things like Latios and the Entei Pokemon we don't see too frequently. Cool grass type here, Rillaboom and Amoonguss. Amoonguss is really good for counterplay against Trick Room because it's just so good under Trick Room. I mean, Trick Room Spore Amoonguss is a win con on its own. It's very, very strong. You also have Rillaboom and Suicune. Entei has a nice little Fire Water Grass core there as well. You know, Amoonguss also, but yeah, this is probably the main one. Suicune is really good supportively, you know, featuring things like Tailwind and Icy Wind for speed control. You also have Taunt. I mean Snarl, that's the move I meant. And then you have Entei, which is probably like an AV set. I really like AV Entei. I think it's pretty good. It's pretty bulky all around and has access to Inner Focus, which means, you know, you're not getting Fake Outed, and in a format without Dynamax, Fake Out's very, very prevalent. So very solid, you know, 2 Inner Focus users there. I really want to know what kind of sets these Pokemon take, because, you know, I've been messing around with this really cool Leftovers Sylveon set with Calm Mind and stuff that really gets a lot from this Grassy Surge, but you also have, you know, Throat Spray, Sweeper sets of Sylveon that just don't really need the setup from something like Calm Mind and Substitute, where you just bring it in and start throwing out Hyper Voices with Throat Spray. You also have Latios, which could be maybe an AV set, probably a Soul Dew set though, to be honest. Just getting some good damage. Levitate's nice here on this team because you do have like a couple ground weaknesses. Well, only the one, I guess, because yeah. But you know, having a ground immune is definitely good if you have any Pokemon that have ground weaknesses. That's just a thing of VGC. But this guy is pretty strong and has some good setup moves. But you also have, like, you know, your powerful Draco Meteor set with I guess probably Psyshock? Probably Psyshock and Psychic, honestly. Stuff like that, and then like Protect. And this thing could honestly even just run like a choice item, like a choice specs or something, and just like hit really, really hard. In fourth place, we have Rey VGC with another Nihilego team, which I love to see. You have Nihilego, Togekiss, Spectre, Incineroar, Urshifu, Rapid Strike, and Rillaboom. A really interesting team, but it does feature, you know, this pretty boring water, fire grass core here that I've been really trying to stray from. It is really good. I mean, it's really hard to not use them because Incineroar Rillaboom cycling is just like probably the best thing you can do in this format, and Urshifu Rapid Strike has the highest ceiling because of Unseen Fist. So I don't know. Those Pokemon are just ridiculous and kind of feel like, you know, hacks Pokemon. I mean, they're just so good. And then you have things like Spectre on this team and Nihilego. This team definitely takes like looks like it takes like a hyper offense like with these Pokemon, but then has like a really bulky backbone with the Incineroar Rillaboom combo. Pretty cool team here. We got Togekiss as well. I'm really curious on what Togekiss hits like that effectively. It's obviously really strong against this core, this really common Incineroar Urshifu Rillaboom core, with Togekiss being able to hit, you know, the Urshifu and the Rillaboom super effectively with Dazzling Gleams. We're going to start into our top 8 teams here. And first off, we've got Genius VGC with a really interesting team. A lot of really cool picks. We have Naganadel, and we've got the Driftblim as well, and the Tapu Lele. So once you assume that Driftblim is most likely unburdened with the Psychic Seed here, Driftblim, Tapu Lele, really solid there. You get a really fast Tailwind setup. You have Strength Sap, you have Tailwind, you have all these different kind of things. You even have things like Calm Mind to set up if you really want to. Destiny Bond, like a really interesting moveset that this Pokemon can get. It gets knockoff. That's weird. It's probably Strength Sap, Tailwind, Shadow Ball, and Protect. That's like most likely what it is. How do you pronounce this guy? Naganadel or Naganadel? I usually call it Naganadel. I called it Naganadel and it felt weird. But yeah, but he's like a Dreidel guy. So I don't know, maybe. Poison Dragon is really cool. And then you have really solid stats, really you know, the speed and special attack, and then everything else is pretty middling. But those special attack and speed stats are really, really good. It gets a pretty good move pool, and Beast Boost is like what an ability. It's really, really strong. And then you have Landorus, Therian, Urshifu, and Amoonguss. More basic Pokemon. Next, we've got Saltini. I believe this is their team. This might be wrong because on the Pokebros like picture, there was nobody named the Saltini, so I had to look at every other player and take them off the list. But I think this is the right team for Saltini. So if you comment down below and you're like, dude, that's not my team, then my bad. We got Regieleki, Registeel, Cresselia, Incineroar, Tapu Fini, and Rillaboom. So a really solid, you know, Fire, Water, Grass core here. Really expected, but two different terrains, which is cool. We've got a pretty solid here Trick Room team, or a Trick Room core here with the Cresselia, Registeel, and you have middling speed with the Tapu Fini, Rillaboom, and Incineroar, and Regieleki to be, you know, give you that speed control out of the Trick Room. You have, you know, fast Electro Webs to make your Pokemon, your middle speed Pokemon, pretty fast. I do like Registeel. It's probably like Iron Body. Pretty cool team there. I do like to see it for the rest of the top 8. We do have 2 more teams. The next one is going to be King Fleesus with a really interesting Gengar on the team. Gengar. Which you love to see. Genjar, right? Tapu Lele, probably like a choice set. I really like Tapu Lele, like choice scarf. Tapu Lele is really solid. I love Heatran in this format. It doesn't really get like threatened by too many things, you know? Obviously you have the high horsepower on the Rillaboom, and you have the Landos going around, you know, I and Therian. Both of them are really strong in the format. But if you can get Heatran positioned correctly in the face of a good enemy, I mean, Heatran's crazy, dude. Like, if it's not getting hit by a ground move, this dude is hard to beat. It's really strong. It packs like an insane punch. It has Flash Fire, which lets you, you know, not die with these things, which is really cool. Mostly this guy. You also have the Genjar. I really want to know what Genjar is doing here in this on this team, like what it's really contributing. But yeah, really cool team, King Fleesus. So next we have Vovo Max Ben 10. What a name. I really like that name. Another Naganadel, which is really cool. You also have Lucario and Turtonator, Tornadus, Rapid Strike, and Rillaboom. So a lot of really cool Pokemon here. I'm really curious what Lucario's really getting, you know. You have Inner Focus, and like it could be like a Calm Mind Inner Focus build that really just like tries to build up some steam, maybe like a Focus Sash here. A lot of different opportunities here. You have Tornadus obviously with the Prankster Tailwind, and then making Lucario set up Calm Mind, maybe. I don't know. I was thinking that. Well, first off, I was thinking Justified with a beat up user, but there's not a beat up user. If this thing was Whimsicott, I'd be like, oh, okay, fair enough. That's a cool strat. But without Dynamax, it makes it really frail. So I don't know quite how good that would be in this format. Probably not. Probably not that good. You have things like Naganadel and Turtonator on the team. What is Turtonator doing? I mean, literally, what is this guy doing? I don't know. This Pokemon, I've never seen this Pokemon be good. So I assume it's like an Assault Vest, you know, Iron Body, or Body Press. I think it gets that, right? Body Press, Iron Defense. Yeah, so I guess it's something like that. Something like that. Maybe not, actually not Assault Vest then, because Iron Defense, so maybe like a Rocky Helmet or something. I don't know. Weird Pokemon, weird to see, but I like to see it. I like to see weird things in tours like this. You know, you don't like to just see Rillaboom, Urshifu, Incineroar teams that feature the same Pokemon every single time. So it's really cool seeing things like Turtonator. Turtonator. All right, so that's top 8 from the tour. If you want to look at the rest of the teams, there's 16. There's top 16. I just didn't feel like recreating all of them in Pokemon Showdown. So, you know, shout out Nino Pokebros. Congrats to all the players. Shout out all the players. Are all going to be in the linked tweet. You know, you can just click on all of these players and, you know, follow them on Twitter. Do that. Do it. Anyway, that's it. Hope you enjoyed. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Have a good day. Goodbye.